Ladies and gentlemen, mech warriors and mech fans from around the world in the inner sphere, welcome to the Nogutsnogalaxy podcast number 168. We are your hosts, Daeron and Phil, and today is Tuesday, December 7th, 2018.
Support for this broadcast is brought to you by patrons. Our patrons, we'd like to thank Keith, Coffee Frame, Unnatural, Dave, Hugo, Theo, Chiun, Brian, Billy, Ruben, Jad, and Daniel for their November support. We'd like to, would you like to support the podcast? Find out more information at patreon.com/NoGutsNoGalaxy.
Well, here we are. I have a voice again.
You do.
Can you tell? It's a little bit better, yeah.
Right? Yeah. You don't. It was that was a little rough.
Look any better.
That was a little rough, man. I felt so bad for you.
Well, you know, multiple things. For those that don't know, I got sick like 2 days before MechCon. So once I showed up in Vancouver this year, I was already getting sick and losing my voice, and so it was kind of a dilemma. You know, do we just have Phil do everything, or do I push through it? And I decided to push through it, good or bad. I'll let you guys decide. I don't know. It's really rough, man. When I listen to some of the video, the recap,
Yeah.
Listening to me, it's a little embarrassing. But you know, you want to know? Some of you 80s rockers will appreciate my inspiration for powering through it, which was a couple weeks ago. Axl Rose, who is very famously known for skipping out on concerts, not showing up, whatever. He got really sick, and he actually powered through an entire concert. And I was thinking, if that asshole can do it, then I'm going to do it. And that's what made it happen. But yeah, I got deathly sick, didn't have a voice. The day after MechCon, literally all I could do was whisper. My wife was very happy about that. It was a fun day for her. And then slowly things have been coming back. But even right now, I'm still under the weather. I'm still sick. This eye is a little bit swollen. I don't know what's going on over there. That's why I'm shading my eyes, and to be a little bit mysterious. But yeah, I'm feeling much better, and pretty stoked about another MechCon, you know, notch on the bed or whatever.
Notch on the bed. On the belt,
Yeah.
Darren, not on the bed.
Oh yeah, the belt,
Yeah,
the belt.
belt. Yeah, man.
It was a good time.
So, of course, today we're going to be talking about MechCon. This is our post-MechCon podcast. And, of course, it's a really special one as well because, again, I think there was a lot of things that were new this year. And, of course, for 3 years in a row, we've had a MechCon, and I look forward to next year.
Well, you said 3 years in a row. I want to point out something real quick, if you don't mind. The shirt I'm wearing right now, I'm going to try and make it so everybody can see, is the shirt I was originally planning on wearing to MechCon, and this was kind of my MWO tour shirt, and I'll show you why I call it that. But on the front, you'll see a beautiful Warhammer.
Where we all
Yeah,
go,
you show off the dog. Yeah, you're going to make
Ah.
everybody say ooh because of the dog. But here's the Warhammer. And then I'll turn around and show you the back.
The MWO tour. There.
Yeah, it also says my other mech is also a Warhammer. Anyway, you know, we've been doing this since 2013, going to these events. You know, started off with obviously the MWO launch party in San Francisco. Then we went to the Steam launch party in 2015 up in Vancouver, and now we've had 3 MechCons in a row. Wow, you know, think about how many years we've been going to these celebrations, and essentially, like I called it at you know, when we did our welcome message, it is a family reunion, and it really is. We're seeing a lot of the same people year after year, and I miss everybody.
You know, when you put it in that perspective, it just, I guess, the phrase that first pops in my head is time flies. Like,
No doubt.
I think that's one thing I've learned as I've gotten a little bit older is that just things just like that. And next thing you know, we're yeah, 6, 7. I mean, 7 year, we had our 7 year for NGNG this past October 31st, you know, and yeah, we have, I think Devil is actually in our chat right now. He's been at every single
Devil Cran.
Right. And we've had individuals like that where they've been to every single event. even the first NG con that we haven't had another one, but maybe one day.
Well, there were whispers going around
there
of you
were
having another gathering in North Carolina. Yeah.
And then someone decided that was not to be, and ruined that.
Oh, really?
But yeah, we're not going to point fingers or name any names or beards. No, it really, it is one of those experiences where I think sometimes we have to sit back and reflect. You know, we're always just go, forward. And and that's what today's going to be for me and you, I think, is just let's talk, let's chat, let's reflect on this, not only this past MechCon, but these past few years and what they mean to us, and of course you guys out there as well.
Yeah, this is going to be pretty casual, and we're just going to kind of go from the beginning to the end, and how the MechCon experience was for us, the good, bad, and the ugly. So let's get into it now.
Let's talk about before even MechCon opened up, because I didn't know. I didn't even know if you were gonna make it. Like, guys, like we get in there and it was like, hey, you know, because normally Daeron, me and you, we meet up ahead of time and just sort of, we at least brief outline like, hey, this is what we're gonna do. Last year we had a pretty good plan, you know, like you had your Han Solo outfit, I had my shark outfit. We were gonna do the, oh, well, what are you wearing? Clan Diamond Shark, you know, sort of thing. You know, we plan that loosely. When I say loose, very loose. We were supposed to do that this year, but you were. I didn't know how bad he was until that morning, and he walks in and he says it's talking, but it's not really talking. It's like just and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, so
plus I was running a fever.
You were like sweating. It wasn't from being nervous. It was just from and so here I am before the shows even started, and I'm thinking, okay, you know, I was supposed to be in the Twitch booth hanging out. I don't think that's going to happen. I'm going to be up there. Okay, what are my responsibilities? Like, what do I need to do? So I'm going through my head of planning of like taking over what Daeron was supposed to do. So that's what's going on before the show even opens up to the public. What about your perspective? Was it just like, I'm dying? You know, like.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like inside I knew I was going to do it no matter what. I think the only thing that would have stopped me was literally having no voice. I mean, I had almost no voice, or it was deeper. I got to joke around a little bit with Elias Tufexis that you know, that was like the one time in my life I had a deeper voice than he does, or a rougher voice or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I kind of had it in my mind that it was going to happen no matter what. The show must go on, so to speak, but I didn't know if I sounded so bad that it was going to be like bad for me to do it. I don't know, man. It was just so up in the air of what was going to happen. But it really also, I think we should skip back even a day to the night before when we, you know, we got to go into the office. We got to check out the pods and check out the demos and, you know, meet everybody.
When I got there Thursday, I met up with Ben and Mike, Bandit and MDM. Yep. And we actually checked into our hotels and we walked down to the office, and literally I walked through the doors at PJ's office and Russ like sees me and he snatches me up. Like, I didn't even get to say hi. He snatches me up and he's like, come check this out. And keep in mind, I hadn't eaten anything since like 5 that morning. So like I had a, is it technically gyro? Is it gyro?
Gyro.
You know, it's whatever it is, it's delicious. And the cucumber salad. Anyways, I had one of those. I was like stuffing my face, and he's showing me the pods, and he's like, "You can get in here. You can play about, you know." And it was just really cool because I got to see. Here's this, you know, the president of Piranha Games, giddy like a little schoolgirl, and he's excited not only for what he's played plenty, but like. He's won in my reaction, and the entire time I'm just like, I'm stuffing my face, and he's like, this is the joystick, and this is how you do this, and he says it's all yours, go. And so I had my, like, it was just instantaneously into the pods, and that was my afternoon just Thursday, like within the first half an hour of being in the office, you know, let alone we'll roll into that. And yeah, so I got to jump in the pods very, very quickly and see what everyone was gonna be experiencing. I was actually very surprised. I'm not gonna lie. I wasn't expecting a 25 to 30 minute
Yeah,
demo.
it was a long demo, no doubt about it. I don't know what I was expecting, but we can talk more about the demo when we get into the
Sure.
actual. But the energy in the office before MechCon is always the same, which is just chaotic, hectic. People that are working on no sleep. You know, Paul literally 2 nights in a row, zero sleep. He was in there like soldering
Yep.
stuff for the pods, and you
Chris and
know,
the crew working on the pods, like all
oh
that.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they were.
I have so much respect for the NGNG, or the NGNG. I have so much respect for us. No, I'm totally joking. For the PGI crew and the staff there, because we get to see firsthand how hard they've been working, how hard they are working for both setting up the event and setting up everything that has to do with MechCon, how hard they work, how little sleep they get, and ultimately how little thanks they get. You know, we can see firsthand, we always do, that they absolutely love what they're doing, and they absolutely care about what they're doing and making it as good of an experience as possible. And the man that really is responsible for a lot of the MechCon experience and everybody having a good time is Matt.
Yeah.
Matt kicks ass. He's the producer, for those that don't know. You know, not only is the MWO marketing person and the events person or whatever, but he's also the producer of every MechCon. So everything to do with MechCon, from the napkins to the demos and you know, everything goes through Matt, and he works his ass off. And I respect Matt and everybody that put work into it. It's a huge event. It's, you know, like I talked to, again, I'll bring him up just because it is pertinent. Elias Defexis, he goes to all these gaming events all over the place. You know, he's from, whether it's Deus Ex, you know him from, or Assassin's Creed or whatever. He's in so many video games that he goes to these events all the time. He sees, you know, events put on by companies that have, you know, 100 times more money than PGI has, and AAA games and so forth. And he was blown away. He literally said twice to me, the first day and the second day, how blown away he was by this event, being all BattleTech and MechWarrior. And we'll get back to that as well. He's a total true BattleTech fan. He had no idea. And I think, you know, I always say that we are living in a moment in time. This is something that we are going to look back on, and I guarantee it, 10 years from now, I'm going to say I told you so to somebody, because we're living something that is super special, and there's a very good chance that it won't be around again, because this is a niche game. It's a niche IP franchise, and just nobody else is going to do
Well,
what has been done over these
and not
last
only in
years.
that, it does take quite a financial backing to,
Huge.
yeah, and obviously to get that off the ground. And
Yeah.
you know, so not only do you have the, I guess, the people support, if you will, like people coming to watch and view and participate and buy tickets.
Yep.
But then you have the perspective of, it takes a lot of money to, you know, rent the venues, rent the equipment, hire the crew, and then everything down to food. And so,
you know, it's $250,000 plus or minus every time. This year was actually more expensive because it was 2 days. And we won't go too much further on this point, but just, it really is something special, and it's something that we are. It's just such a great feeling to get together with family, you know, essentially from the community. I mean, we've been spending 7-8 years with these people. Like I said in the beginning, this community is the best out there. They always blow me away. You know, one of the points I made is how this community just comes together, no matter what our backgrounds are, politically, religiously, whatever. Where we came into the franchise, this community has come together. I've seen them raise tens of thousands of dollars, either for, you know, for great causes, like battling cancer, and you know, everything. I've seen every great cause under the sun. You know, people supporting it with streams and donations and so forth to each other, people in the community who have health issues, or just, you know, acts of God that devastate their family. And this community comes together. And, you know, I mean, I really did choke up when I was saying it up on stage, half because I was sick, but half absolutely because I mean it. This community blows me away. The love and the support that's out there, and that's why it does feel like a family reunion. But let's talk about the night before. We did meet up
We did.
with the VIPs. We had another
Did.
gathering,
Yeah.
which was a lot of fun. We met up at the Pint this year, which was kind of, it's a sports bar. We had the kind of back section, and so many people showed up. It was awesome. It was like, you know, people were coming straight from their flights. Like Kat showed up, you know, she landed and came and hung out with us, and it was just really cool just seeing everybody there. What was your experience that night before?
I mean, the cool thing was I hadn't met some of them in real life, so that was obviously really cool. To be able to like, oh my gosh, there's Melted, there's Violent, you know, there's Pickle right there, and there's Majestic and everybody, and to be able to give them a hug, get a selfie. And I really made an attempt this year to get photos because I was super bad at it last year. Where,
yeah, you did.
Yeah, and I, you know, like made an effort, like, hey, you know, someone was like, hey, can I get a photo with you? I'm like, can I get a photo with you? Because that'd be great.
Yeah.
RJ was streaming, which I thought was hilarious.
RJ and Nutty, yeah.
It took forever to get a beer, but you know, funny enough, throughout the night, when people, you know, the night goes on and it's getting late and people have been up for a while, and people started leaving. Some of the PGI staff was there, and then they took off. Avatar was actually there with me, and me and him were the last ones to leave.
Mark Nicholson.
Yep.
Paul showed up.
Mike and his fiance.
Mike Forrest.
Yep. Bounced. And me and Avatar were just like sitting there, just chilling. I was trying to be his wingman, but I don't think it worked. But
good people. Just so everybody knows, the VIPs that were there this year were George Ledoux, BB Wolf. Beardool couldn't make it. We were so bummed, but hopefully next year. Loken Plays was there. Loken's awesome. Haven, obviously. RJ Base, Star Wolf, Father Bill, Nutty Rat, Majestic, Cat, Fiora Bunny, Violent Blue Mech, Unfazed. Impy was there. And then we had some streamers, some influencers that we also love that showed up, and I'm so glad they did. We got to see Wesker and Melted Snow Girl, Nita Pickle, Old Bob was there, and some others I'm going to forget, and I'm sorry.
They had some of the refs, like Hobo was there.
Yes.
And yeah, and she's like, I knew she was tall, but Fiora, like, I was like,
she's awesome.
You know, yeah, it's a total sweetie. And you know, the entire vibe was just nothing but just positive. It was one of those like rare opportunities when you had an entire group of, like, everything was just smiles, laughs, and it was really cool because, like, I got to sit down with you know, Violent, and I was able to talk to her. You know, and it's someone I've interacted with and watched streams with, but then to be able to talk behind the scenes.
Gitka was there. Sorry, yep, Gitka.
And
talking to each one of these people alone, just being able to get 5 minutes to talk to them where you're not on Discord or whatever, and in person is so important. And you know what? I don't regret a single person that was there, that was invited as a VIP, and the people that joined us that weren't on the sponsored list. You know, again, our community is just freaking awesome. And you know, every single one of those people that hung out with us the night before and during MechCon in the Twitch booth, which we'll get to, just solid people. Love them all. We have just an amazing community.
Yeah, so the overall experience there was really cool. Unfortunately, we were supposed to have a little bit more tables than we wanted, which actually sort of presented of everyone was like not right on top of each other, but you know, we had to get close. Almost. Yeah. It was a preview of what was to come, apparently. Yeah. But yeah, it was a pretty awesome experience, and I think next year we will definitely have to do our research to get a place locked down to where we have more of a table, a big table, or a roundabout way of seeing everybody in one perspective. But the cool thing is, you know, obviously they're playing music, and they had good food and good drinks, and yeah, so it was overall, it was a cool setting. And I had recovered the previous day because I'd been up for like 31 hours. You guys went out to Steamworks on Thursday night. I didn't. Like, when we were eating, we hung out with my Shark Bros on Thursday for dinner. Not all of them, but most of them. And Thursday, I was sitting at that bar we were at, or not bar, the restaurant. And if you've ever been up so long, you're
talking about the Cactus Club?
Yeah, the Cactus. I felt like I was back on a ship.
Yeah.
Which is a really weird feeling. So, like, Like, it just felt like I was doing this the
Were
entire
you
time.
swaying
Yeah,
back and
just
forth?
nice and easy. And I'm sitting there, and I didn't know if it was a combination of the lighting and that I'd been up. I think it was around, at that point in time, 30 hours. And I was just like, you were like, hey, let's go to Steamworks. And so all the shark, yeah, come to Steamworks. RJ and Nutty are there. And I was just like, no, I don't think that would be a good idea. I know my limits, and I'm going to go rest. So I was well rested for Friday. And then me and Avatar didn't leave the bar till 1:30, almost 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
We had to have another pint. I mean, it's,
Of course.
Of course.
It's the pint.
It's the pint.
Yeah, so we had a great time hanging out beforehand. Deadfire, didn't forget you. I'm going to get to you shortly. You know what about. And like you said, you saw your Shark Bros. A lot of units there. Boy, 228 obviously represented. I think they had like 30 people there.
And
it's
EMP.
always good to see 228. Yeah. EMP totally represented.
Steep,
yeah. And it's, I don't know, man. There's such a good feeling when you see that happening. You know, sometimes you can get a little caught up in the negativity in communities, but you know, MWO has always been one of those communities when somebody comes from another game, especially if you see a streamer come in from another game, they're like, oh my God, this community is so great. And I will always agree with that. It is a great community. But let's skip forward. We had the days leading up, you know, Thursday, Friday. We had a lot of good times, hung out with people, you know, and kind of prepping. What are we going to do? So let's get to the venue, which is where I want to show the first picture. Show the official one of the front of the venue. And here, what we're going to do, guys, is kind of just share some pictures. And it'll be a little janky. Phil, throw it up on the stream here. So the official picture of the venue, the front of it. So this is the first time we were at the Vancouver Convention Center. I have to say, completely impressed. You know, I loved the Commodore the first year because of what it represented as far as like a musical venue that basically every musician and artist I've ever respected was there. But we outgrew the Commodore the very first year. And then we moved obviously to the Pinnacle. We outgrew that. And the only venue really left in Vancouver for us to, you can cover me too, was this, the Vancouver Convention Center. And wow, what a building and what a hotel, the Pan Pacific. Totally amazing. Like the space in there was beautiful, almost too much space sometimes, because we'd be up on stage and everybody's off, you know, doing the BattleTech demo or in Catalyst Game Labs booth, which was packed the whole time. And the people right up front stage, you know, it felt like a lot of space, which is beautiful. It means it's room to grow. And it didn't feel claustrophobic at all. The ceilings were very high inside, which you'll see in some of the pictures. Just a great venue. That was my take on it. Phil, what did you think of the venue?
Well, you know, yeah, especially compared to the past, last year, great location because everyone was able to stay at the Pinnacle and roll right to your rooms and come down. But it was so narrow, we didn't have enough room for everyone. And obviously, we've almost doubled from last year as far as the amount of people. I will say thank you for putting me at that hotel. I think they ran out at Pinnacle. I think it filled up, so I got to stay at the Pan. And the convention center, that was just one of many, obviously, that had, like, we were A, and they had, like, I think 3
B
more.
and C.
Right, yeah. And then they had other rooms, too, and on other floors. Like, a fantastic location. And the cool thing was, you know, because it allowed so much going on, not everybody was on top of each other. Catalyst Game Labs had a
unless
full
they wanted
thing.
to be, but yeah.
Right, yeah. Like, each section had plenty of room. And actually, I would say we had extra room, too, that could have you know, if they needed to. So whether it was the you know, eating area or the VIP area, and, of course, the pod area. Overall, just fantastic. And it being on the water, too, that was really cool.
That one picture that you have right here, I forget who took that. It might have been Kat, the one that shows the mountains in North Vancouver off in the distance. People, if you've never been to Vancouver, you know, I'm familiar with a lot of the West Coast cities. I haven't been to New York myself, but Vancouver is such a beautiful city, and not just because of the city itself, but because it's surrounded by beauty. You know, you got the whole bay going all around it. You have the mountains up there. You can see the ski lifts. You're literally 45 minutes from getting to the ski lifts.
Total jelly moment for you guys. Sunday morning when I ate breakfast at pan, and funny enough, Mike showed up, and then Ben showed up, and we're sitting right, literally one of these windows actually that you can see in this image, overlooking the bay here, and the clouds were on the water, and you know, like a seaplane was taking off a ship. Dude. And you could see, I mean, you could see the snow lifts and everything, and it was just one of those where like it was awesome. Like
it was pretty hopping there. If you didn't notice, it was like their version of the World Trade Center. In fact, that's I think what it was called, is right there at the Pan Pacific. So you have, like you said, the seaplanes, but you have ferries coming in there. You have all the shipping containers coming in on ships. You have helicopters taking off and landing. You have a huge train station right there. This was like the center of Vancouver where everything goes in and out. So busy, so beautiful, so fun. I just love that city.
So as far as a convention center and as far as our MechCon goes, it was by far the best location. I think that what that is just because you have a blank space. You have a gigantic rectangle that you can design, and Matt and crew did a perfect job. And for those that are wondering, Matt actually had a 3D representation. He built everything in 3D so you could see and manipulate where things were. So fantastic. We had plenty of space on the stage. The stage so if I can we roll into the first day? I think
let's do that. I want to give proper credit where credit is due. That is actually Kagaru's picture right there of Vancouver. Nice pick, Kag. I did steal a few of your pictures because you got some nice ones. Anyway, let's do it. So you're talking walking through the doors.
So
the first moment.
So the first days, so we walked through that morning, or I should say, it was afternoon, because we got there around 12. I don't know. It was we ate really quick, but we didn't know if the stage would even be set up. For those that don't know, they had a convention on Friday, so PGI and crew could not set up until that morning. So they were there at 5 o'clock in the morning. So when we got there at like 12 something after we ate lunch, they, like the audio, like the video and all that had been set up, and the booths had been set up, but this like main stage, the left side was just getting like raised and lights. And I don't know if I told you, I remember I was talking to someone, I was like, I hope we're on time. And then, someone was like, oh man, it's gonna be close, but I think we're gonna get it. So that was one of those things where the stage was still being built, and I guess the convention center works with that crew all the time, and so they were pretty confident in getting the entire 3 stages. But we had 3 stages. Like, that's something, we actually had all the teams out, side by side, and I felt like this was the first proper tournament looking esque. Like where we had both teams on each side in a central place. I think my favorite venue when it came to that prior was it the Commodore? No, the one with the stage.
Yeah, the Commodore.
Where all the teams could go back behind. Was that what it was? Okay,
that was the Commodore.
Yeah, up until this, that was my favorite location, and then this happened, and it looked proper. You walked in, you get the sense of scale too, because it's so big. And I think that's what took a lot of people by surprise as well, is talking to them. They're like, holy crap, there's everything here. Like, there's, so it looked fantastic. It worked fantastic. And if anything, room to grow for next year. And I think that's the production quality level that now has been set. And, I think that's what Matt and crew are capable of, and be awesome seeing next year as well.
Yeah, absolutely. The amount of work that it took to set it up this time was insane, and they did it in time. And yeah, amazingly, the stage was the last part that went up, but they did it. So let's talk about the sections now. Registration went much better this year. The lines were, everybody got in real quick this year, so that was really nice. But let's talk about the different sections, because you did a little tour that was kind of kicked it off. You walked around with the camera crew.
I mean, we walked we walked around, and that was a little bit in flux too. We had a time window for that, and that was in flux. And that was a really cool thing working with the crew that we did is, you know, things came up from maybe a technical or whatever.
Show picture number 4 while we talk about this.
So let me get this picture for you.
The one that shows Daft Punk Atlas dude.
Yeah, gotcha. I actually saw him. He posted a thing on Reddit as well. That's fantastic.
Yeah, so this is as people are coming in, and this guy was so cool. He definitely had one of the best outfits. There is basically our MechWarrior's version of Daft Punk. It would have been cool if he got on, you know, as DJ or whatever. It was a trip watching him walk around.
It is a little creepy, but it's cool.
But you can see behind him, that's the entrance to the Catalyst booth behind him with the huge Marauder cover art for what is that going to be the cover for?
I have no idea actually. I think it's a replacement. I think that's what they're doing it. Maybe for the 35 years or something like that.
Something like that. We should know, but we had so much information shoved into our little brains that we forget. But anyway, beautiful cover art. And I was blown away by so much artwork there this year, and the minis. Oh my God, I wanted to steal minis. You know, it took all the control I had in me to not offer them hundreds of dollars because my wife would have been pissed. But beautiful minis painted again, and just a lot of creative outfits out there from people.
Yeah, the miniatures, it was cool because I got to talk to Shimmy, Anthony Scroggins, and funny how just, you know, full life, just that cyclical cycle and just how things work. I mean, here you have, I would say the #1 commission artist for BattleTech because, you know, it was Flying Debris and then Shimmering Sword and Flying, obviously working for PGI. And so that left this huge niche and he grabbed and ran with it. And the next thing you know, he is, you know, the overworking
art director at BattleTech,
and is able to set a precedence. And I was talking to him about that, and that was one of the things when we were in the Twitch booth is like, you know, consistency of art across multiple platforms and how that's cool. And albeit he still likes that there's differences, of course, or that there could be slight differences, but in general we have this artistic consistency across the multiple brands of the IP. And from a miniature standpoint, the stuff he was showing me, fantastic. Like, you know, seeing like his Warhammer, you know, that sort of art style, and then all of a sudden in 3D, and of course you see in that BattleTech and stuff. And overall, it's great to see that there's other artists stepping up. I mean, the artist for HBS as well. I actually didn't get to meet him, but obviously fantastic from a technical standpoint.
Are you talking about, what's his name? Was it Marco?
Yeah, He the one who did the Dane thing? Oh, dude, you mean this thing right here?
Dane gave me one as well, but why don't you go ahead and show yours? I have to say, this is one of the best fan pics or works of art I've ever seen. It's basically Dane sitting in, I believe, a Shadowhawk hand, and it's very Game of Thrones. It was beautiful. I was, you know, jaw-droppingly beautiful.
I mean, that's fantastic.
Oh, that's beyond fantastic, man. I would pay to have something like that done of myself. Beautiful. And there was just so much artwork there, and so much eye candy, basically, whether it's people dressed up in outfits or artwork or minis or dice or whatever, you know, like.
Oh yeah, speaking of the dice, so for those that weren't able to be there, the cool thing is these new dice, they're like aluminum, I think, technically.
Quality, man.
So here's the Diamond Shark. I got really fortunate to where, let's go autofocus. Did it for a split second. Okay.
It almost did. It almost did. It's really high quality dice. My daughter made me get like 4 or 5 of them for. She's like, I want a green one. I want a blue one. I want to. Yeah, it's cool. I love the merch that people bring.
Yeah. So the dice
I
are.
wish those minis were for sale.
Yeah. Right. All painted and stuff. Have no money. That's
no money.
You'd have no money.
Why
Yes.
don't you show picture number 5? Let's take 4 out of there. Show number 5 and 6.
5.
So this is us doing our welcome message.
Here's number 5.
Show 5 first. Like, go ahead and show it full screen, because I want to get from you. What are you thinking right there? I feel like you're making some age joke. I don't know what you're saying.
Why would you say that about me?
But this is a good. It shows the stage was huge, so we were up on the center platform. Obviously, there were side platforms for the teams, big, huge screens, so you could see everything that was going on. They did, like you said, it was a stage. It was an actual stage, not just a raised platform. And that was really cool. And you can show number 6 as well. We had some good stage time, and it was a lot of fun. It was
So for those out there, funny enough, my family knows what I do, but they don't really know. And I posted this photo got posted on Facebook. And my mom said, so who's that ZZ Top looking dude? And I was like, that's my partner in crime. And she was like, well, and I was like, it's going to make his day when I tell him that.
The same thing kind of happened with Tina. Tina had some family there, and she introduced me to her father, who was from France. He's French. Obviously, she was translating our conversation. But he basically said something like he loved my look because he grew up watching American cowboy movies. And I had some other cowboy comments as well that were out there. It was a lot of fun. But yeah, we had a good time. Like we said, they did a great job.
It looked really nice that I got compliments. And actually, I was asked if the shirts, if people could buy the shirts. I was like, I'm sorry, no. That could be something we bring up. Chris is like, hey, maybe you want some polos next year, because people wanted them. So
I was a little hesitant to wear, because part of my outfit is my AC/DC shirts, and I bought 2 new AC/DC shirts this year, and I was gonna wear them, but yeah, we went professional, so whatever. At least they were black.
They felt good. They looked good.
They did feel good.
So there's that.
Yes, we looked so good. But anyway, you can throw those pics out. We brought the VIPs up on stage, which was a very important moment. It was last year, it was this year. Want everybody to know who the people are out there that are bringing more people into our community, and all these VIPs do. Then we had George come up there and let the games begin. He did his kickoff, and we rolled into some matches. And I guess we can talk a little bit about the World Championships and how they went this year because of stock mode and so forth. I know there's a lot of discussion about that. I have no idea. There's George doing it. I love that moment, man. I love that moment. Duncan Fisher kicking off the games. It was great to have him back again. I have a good picture of him sitting with Elias. Go ahead.
The World Tourney, when it kicked off, one, it's cool because from our perspective, is a lot easier to view this year. And I know that's something some people didn't really think about, is the matches themselves. It's important that, of course, the competitive players have something to compete, and they feel like they enjoy the rule set and so forth. And then on the flip side, you also have that the tournament and the Twitch stream is for the Twitch viewers as well, and also the viewers there watching the matches. And I can tell you this year, it was hands down probably the easiest to follow as far as action, because in previous years, and we all know it, especially when lights are going 140, 150, it's just, there's a lot, things happen very, very quickly. But I will say what was interesting was I was able to sit next to Jay, and I mentioned this at MechCon. I was sitting next to Jay-Z, and him and his 228 buddies are just like, they called a few matches like at the very beginning, just based on where the teams were positioned. And that's what separates me as a casual player. I may be a decent player, but that's what separates me as a casual player to someone that plays competitively, like where they can say, okay, they've got a 3 cap on, Grim, and it's in a straight line, or hey, they've got this position, or hey, they just lost this mech or that. And it was just sort of a eye-opening experience, and that's why I tried getting them into the stream booth and answering questions as well, because you know, from that's who you need to ask. It's like having a Ben and Mike up there, you know, being able to watch matches with you. So the matches were fantastic. I'm not gonna lie, I was rooting for JGX, like the first Jaguar guards. Like, here's an underdog, brand new to the scene, just like 228 have rooted for in the past, just because it's the underdogs. You want them to do well. And I would say everyone was wanting EMP to lose this year, at least for the most part. And these, as far as crowd reaction, I will say, obviously not biased as far as like that. But
yeah, I want to real quickly interject. I mean, I you know, maybe from your perspective, and understandably, EMP has, you know, been the champions 2 years in a row. Now, this was a different EMP
yes,
team,
it actually was.
and I didn't hear people out there going, you know, EMP sucks,
Nope.
and we want you to lose or whatever. It was more of rather than, I think, wanting EMP to lose, it was wanting somebody else to win.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
which, you know, and I have to say, Eon worked very hard for
Oh,
it.
yeah.
It took them 3 years, and they deserved their win. And of course, as far as Jaguar guards, you know, we all like the underdog or whatever. Why don't you bring up picture number 8 while we're talking about the event itself, so you can kind of see what the teams look like while they're up there in the crowds. Yeah, my take, like, obviously you and I personally have no idea what's going to happen with the World Championships in 2019. Whether, you know, it's going to be stock mode or not stock mode or some form of, I think what I did hear that some people enjoyed was the limitations, you know, that just everything wasn't on the table and made it a little bit more fun for them to work within a set of limitations. And so you can see there you can see the stage lighting and the rigging, but you can see where I don't know which team that is. Maybe that's EMP over on that side during this match, and you can see how close the crowd was. But it was a lot of fun to watch, and the slowed down aspect of it, I think there'll be people who will say that was a bummer because they like more the more fast-paced thing, and maybe they are like Ben and Mike and they can just follow along every little thing that's happening and whatever. But for the casual viewer, I totally agree that the slower pace made it more enjoyable. You could figure out what was happening. You know, a lot of times, like even the audio video crew who are totally tuned in, dialed into what's happening, they're like, who's winning? What's going on right now? And it was a lot easier for people to follow along this year. Good or bad, you know, repeat or not repeat, who knows? The discussions for next year don't start until February.
Yeah, and we will be sitting down with Eon and EMP and JGX and other competitive players and having them on podcast. Me and Daeron were literally just talking about that yesterday, where it would be great to sit down with representatives. And I actually got to talk to EMP, Eon, and JGX members ahead and during the matches. And I was actually quite surprised because, and I'm not going to say who they are, but to put them on the spot, they actually liked, and I quote,
stock mode.
Stock mode.
Yeah.
Now, the reasons why they did, and you even heard Eon when I was asking, not everyone, and that's what I wanted was a truthful answer. You know, they weren't under duress when they gave that, but was to say, do you enjoy stock? Does it make it competitive? You know, what do you enjoy? And some of them once said there's no machine guns, and or at least there's no piranhas running around and just, you know, so like that perspective. Also, they, you know, one of the comments that Eon said that I think is it made things easier. You didn't have to theory craft as deep. Like, you knew what that mech was capable of, you knew what it did, and, you know, so forth. But I will say, for next year, we will be, and we, as far as PGI, will be listening to what you guys want, and I think there's some collaboration that can happen, obviously. And on the flip side, you know, I think what's really cool is you guys have ideas, and then we also have the perspective of, again, how can we mix it up while still giving you guys what you want? Can we make it different and fun and interactive? And so, anyways, that discussion will happen post 2018.
Well, I know Ben is already out there talking to a lot of the comp people, and so you know, a lot of thought is going to be put into it. But I do want to reiterate again with the 3 teams that were there: First Jaguar Guards, Imperial, and Eon Synergy. Just getting to the finals and being at MechCon is a huge accomplishment. All 3 of these teams were super pro. and overcame a lot of difficulties and hurdles to be there. It's hard to get a team together and just make consistent practices, which a lot of the teams that competed know, let alone making it to the semifinals, let alone making it to the finals. These guys are the best MechWarrior players out there that were competing this year. And so, you know, to me, I'm proud of all these guys because I know what it took to get to this point, to keep your team together, to, like I said, just, you know, make every practice, to figuring out strategies that work and getting to the final. So, you know, First Jaguar Guards, they deserve the credit they got for getting third place, and Imperial as well. Not too shabby is what I'm saying. You know, you got, these guys accomplished a lot. And all three of those teams, every single player on it, every player on the roster deserves credit for what they accomplished.
So yeah, the first day, it wasn't as long at MechCon, you know, as far as like being out there. Having the 2 days was interesting from our perspective, because it was actually more work. We were out
on one
there.
hand, it was more work. On the other hand, the work was a little bit less intense, so we were able to take some time. So we did, you know, we did get to sit down and enjoy ourselves for the most part. I mean, you know, we work our asses off, and no doubt about it. You know, that's why, number one, I get sick every single year, whether I get sick during or after MechCon. It is so much work leading up to it. My immune system is just destroyed, and so every year, all the stress, all the pressure leads to me being sick for a while.
So one of the things we were trying to improve, and that was the viewability when you guys were watching on Twitch last year and the previous years. We had a lot of downtime. And sometimes,
why don't you show picture number 14?
Sometimes we had to, because the crew and stuff needed to eat, or hold on, let me get the
there's a reason. I know you probably have one that's better, but show this one, because I just love the way this is framed. We had the Twitch booth this year, which is what you were getting into, which I felt was such an improvement. I hope it was for the people that were out there in the stream, and I hope we can improve upon it next year. We're going to need a bigger booth for sure. But it was so good to have that booth where people were able to sit down and interact with the stream and the people in chat, but also where we were able to bring people in. And you know, we had I think this was this Haven's birthday? Yes,
and he had no idea.
He had no idea. So it was Haven's birthday on Sunday, the second day of MechCon, and so we brought him in there, and Mez brought him a little mini, a gift, an Irby mech, and just, God, it was so much fun being able to utilize these people's skills, these streamers and so forth, and get them in there multiple times. I mean, you were in there 10 times. I don't know.
I tried doing it as much as possible, and because day 2 was longer too. It was fantastic, and I already made plans to walk around with my phone on having Twitch. So when I found out about the Twitch booth, it was just sort of a perfect match. Yes, obviously it was a little cramped at times, but that it's a learning process. I think for some of the comments I've seen, and even in chat and other areas, is maybe next year what we can do is have stationary cameras, like top-down perspective at Catalyst, looking at what's going on there, and or other areas. And I think that's good feedback. Obviously, that way they can split to that and be like, hey, we'll be right back, sort of like this. But the Twitch stream booth, how I looked at it was a good example of filling in time with valid like content, right? It's you get to meet and talk and listen. And so what I tried to do is, I literally was, sometimes I wasn't able to, because they were like, hey, we took a break, our guys are using the bathroom, or they've got to eat, or, blah, blah, blah. And being able to just grab a streamer or someone that you want to interview, and they don't have a camera necessarily like up in their face like last year. Not all streamers like that. Not all streamers even have cameras. So like, let alone this big old thing. We did have a spotlight in there though. The shit was brighter than crap. But yeah, that was a really fun experience. That in particular, that picture, Daeron, was, you were sick. You were like, no, I'm not. And I walked in, and we were gonna say happy birthday to Haven, and he had no idea. His girlfriend, not fiance, I don't think, not yet. I don't know. But she had set this up. So I walk in and there's no room, and they're like, just lay down. I'm like, all right. And yeah, that was interesting. I don't know how you guys enjoyed it out there watching, but yeah, we got really close really quick. And yeah, out of everyone, then you've got Unfazed, all GQ, tie, you know, like dress. Man, he just raises the bar, man. It's rough. Can't follow.
I threw another picture in there. You'll see it up next to the first picture of the booth, so you can kind of see a little bit better.
Number
4735. It's.
Oh,
I just dropped it in there. Yeah. That shows more on the production end because you were talking about that spotlight.
Yeah.
But in every way, just the booth was a great addition, and I've already talked to Matt about how we can improve it next year.
Well, you know, it's stuff like me and Daeron have talked about. We just need those microphones, the ones that you have around your ear. Like, there's no reason for us to like have to keep us having a microphone in our ear and be able to talk, and then us handing a microphone off would be great. That way, yeah. So there's a lot of things from the like technical perspective that we, you know. One of the things we always do is we always nitpick, like what could have been better, what could we do better, and I would definitely say this is something that can continue on. I would even say so far as having another small, almost a webcam that they could flip to whoever's on the computer talking, because a lot of the times there was different streamers talking to everybody on Twitch chat, and you know,
just have to trust that they are who they say they are.
Or they, you know, like Cat was
and
on
I know
there
there
and
was
she would
some
say Cat
deception going
on. So
yeah, but if you look, I mean, that picture increase the size of that again. It makes me so proud. Beautiful people. You can see we have there Majestic and Loken. Loken was so involved, and he just
Violent.
loves being Nutty, Violent, yourself there, Impy, Cat, Jay-Z, Haven, Father Bill,
looks like he's asleep
Wesker's there. I know. Well, you know, and some people were tired, and some people you know, deserved being tired, but just again, a lot of interaction. And I just love seeing those people shine at what they do. Look at Jay-Z's smile.
You almost can even see Haven in all these photos. You have to like look, because
you have to know it's him.
Just that black, and it's black on the black backgrounds. And overall, in my opinion, I think that the Twitch stream booth was fantastic. I really think it added something. It allowed me to be a little bit more comfortable with whoever's sitting there, or vice versa. That sort of area where they could just be themselves. And I think we have some improvements from a technical perspective that we can do. Obviously, more couches and areas. But in general, I think it was fantastic, and hopefully you guys enjoyed it as much as we did. So
absolutely. Let's talk a little bit about the different spaces. Catalyst blew me away this year.
Yes.
Not necessarily because their presentation, which I love their presentation and the stuff that they brought, but because that booth was hopping the entire time. It was packed. Everybody was in there playing, including George Ledoux played his first ever tabletop.
Yeah, he did.
He even did a DFA. He had so much fun, and it was so cool that Catalyst brought him in there to play, because they're like, have you ever played the tabletop? And he was, no. And then they said, well, get in here. And they taught him how to play. But they were doing that for everybody, including there were kids in there. I was just amazed at how busy. I almost want to say it was the busiest booth. I don't know if that was true or not. They were all busy. They all had lines. Obviously, the slowest moving line was the pods, which was crazy. We do need to improve the line for the pods next year, or whatever we're going to be doing with some kind of number system or something to make it. Yeah, because it was like a 2.5 hour wait. And so, but just all the spaces were really cool. Catalyst, amazing. Of course, you had the MechWarrior 5 demo, and people kept doing that over and over again. People kept doing the Solaris stuff over and over again because you could win prizes. And I mean, literally, people were like, this is my 30th time doing Solaris. So they're just going over and over and over again. You had Harebrained Schemes there with the Battletech booth, everybody playing that, checking out the new Flashpoint DLC. That was really cool. Had people teaching people how to play. And can you bring up picture number 19? Now, let's see, who was it? This was Tregtronics, I think, who is one of Apostles.
Yeah.
No. This is the kids that are in there. This
Oh,
is
yeah, yeah.
number 19.
19,
Okay,
yeah.
so Tregtronics, one of Apostle's buddies, awesome guy, took this picture, and I have to say, and make this full size, this is one of my favorite pictures of all time from MechCon. Look at this, people.
That
This
is
okay.
pretty
First
cool.
of all, Haven is a hero. He's in there teaching all these kids, and somebody did liken it to like Ender's Game or something like that. But this
Yeah.
this is what I mean. This means so much to me. This is the next generation of BattleTech and MechWarrior fans. The kids loved it. Look at that. They're sitting in there learning how to play MechWarrior and BattleTech. Just phenomenal. I don't know. That picture, for whatever reason, just hits all my heartstrings. It was so good to see families out there, you know, moms and dads with their kids, and it was just a whole new layer of MechCon that made it special to me.
I think it was a very smart move for us doing
Yeah,
all ages, and
it
there
was
was
so
actually
cool.
people that I talked to that were able to come because they were able to bring their children. So
Yeah,
it's a win-win. You know, as far as if you wanted to drink, you could, but you know, there were kids around. It's not like we have anything crazy inappropriate happen, so there's that. But when I saw this picture the first time, the first thing I thought was like, what is Cobra Commander teaching these kids like originally? That's yeah,
they
I mean,
loved him. The kids
yeah,
loved
no, they
Haven
wanted
too.
his autograph. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
going up. Yeah, it was pretty fantastic.
Yep.
You know, as far as the pods, the pods were an awesome experience. There's a few things that I think we can talk about at the end as far as things to improve. Obviously, wait time is always a tough thing, right? I think obviously hindsight's 2020, but we had a lot of people, and the demo was longer, and so you know, they weren't trying to hush people out of there really quick. So there's that as well.
Do you have a good image of the pods? I'm trying to find a good one, and funny enough, I didn't get a good picture of the pods themselves. I have plenty of pictures of the lines to the pods. If you have one, throw one up. But if yeah,
I don't think I do, but so the pods, you know, obviously the big thing was downtime as far as it took. You know, some people stood in line for like 3 hours. It's unfortunate. So you know, if we were to do that again, obviously we need a better system. And then on top of that, the experience itself, I found it challenging, very challenging, if you will. And I think mainly that's just because you're hopping into something with two different control sets that you're not used to. I love the immersion factor. I don't think I would do a 4K TV for it. I think if anything, you know, you do something like 1080s. You know, like my 1080, they're slightly curved. You can imagine 3 of those or something, or a little bit bigger. I think that would be really cool.
I did throw a picture in there. It's another one of those huge numbers right up towards the top. That shows the line for the pods. It shows the pods peeking over.
Super pods, yeah, gotcha. You can't even like see
Yeah.
them, the lines. Yeah.
A lot of people wanting more pods, man. Okay, so the first thing, I only sat in the pods for 10 minutes, and 9 minutes of those were me trying to figure out how to turn my mech on. So just so you guys know, like when we first got into the convention center, I really quickly wanted to get into the pods to, you know, at least have a little bit of the experience. And the guy told me real quickly this is what you do to stick, you know, turn it on basically. And I'm thinking that the switches that Paul worked on were how to turn my mech on. That's how I thought you powered up. So everything seemed powered up to me. And I sat there for a very long time before I eventually opened the door and said, Phil, how do you turn this thing on? And then you're like, press the P button, you freaking idiot. And so, so I finally got powered up. And
I
the
would
pods,
never call you an idiot.
but
There you go. There's a pod picture. Thank you.
yeah.
Pat.
So basically, they very much took me back to the BattleTech centers. I had that feeling like, yeah, there's a good picture. They were amazing, well built, very sturdy, solid pods, bigger than I expected them to be. But man, I wanted one so bad, and so did everybody. Like, how do I steal one of these and take it home, right? But the game was very well suited, I felt, for joystick and the HOTAS setup. I do feel like you'd need to fine tune it to yourself.
Oh,
right?
yeah. And I go on a limb and say, by the way, the support for all of that will eventually be in the end game, but what we were experiencing was not a hodgepodge, but it definitely wasn't. It wasn't set up for each individual. Like the dead space in the joystick was difficult. Actually, there was something that I really didn't like, but it would be solved if they'd used the original plan, which was foot pedals. So the foot pedals being used for torso twist left and right. The problem was when you say you were tracking a target from right to left, so you have torso twist, and then you actually had the pulling back your mech. Well, the problem was you had to pull back your mech, torso twist, but then also go at an angle. It was really not comfortable with that motion specifically. That being said, I go back to Mech 4. I did it in Mech 4, so I know I can get used to it in Mech 5. And I totally understand. Russ and I were talking, and he says this is what the ultimate sim experience is going to be. It may not be something for everyone. It may not be something that you enjoy, but if you're wanting that sim experience, this is the route you're going to go. And so I'm looking forward to that end result, which is, they mentioned VR potential support. Well, they said it's going to have it to some extent. Obviously, all the HOTAS and different systems and blah, blah, blah. I would probably go joystick, throttle, and then foot pedals, or possibly even 2 joystick, I think, and foot pedals. 2 joysticks and foot pedals may also work. So I think there's multiple combinations you can go for.
The main important thing, I think everybody, I already heard people talking about the setups they're going to build, and people are going to make their own. But the important aspect of this is that, it's totally built for it. Like, it felt like a sim. It felt right having a joystick and a throttle or whatever you're going to do. I definitely would do foot pedals myself. For the people that have been waiting for this type of experience with a modern MechWarrior game, this is it. And it felt good. Like, even though I didn't do the whole demo, I did the whole demo previously on just keyboard and mouse. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna break out my HOTAS setup again. And I would like to point out, we're not getting older, guys. We're leveling up. Be proud, Father Bill. But it was just an amazing experience. Whether perfect or not perfect, I felt like the super pods were a great addition. People would like to see more of them. People would like to see them moving around the country, to various events. I'd love to see them at PAX next year, PAX West, because that's just across the border for them. They were so much fun, and it's just a great experience, something that we haven't experienced in a long time.
So let's talk about the experience, though. Like, compared to last year and this year, the what Mech 5 looked like and felt like and what it was, I played last year. Actually, I played a few times, and me and you actually saw a little bit more when we went up in February we went up. And we got to see live in-engine environmental effects, the weather, snow, rain, you name it. One thing we didn't see was the heat and thermal setup, and I can't talk about that much, but it looked pretty freaking amazing. The experience, the cool thing for me was it felt, how do I say this? It felt very, I'd been here before. It felt similar to Mech 4 and Mech 3 as far as I felt like I was at home in it, as far as the pop-up and stories. Like, I'd been here, like, hey, you've got this farm. It's under, now granted, this is an example of one of their story sort of missions, they said. But the voice acting support, the little pop-ups of the, 2D images of the MechWarrior, I thought was really cool. And it wasn't just one thing. It was, did this, then you go to this nav, and so now you've got navigation beacons, you got multiple fights, multiple dropships, multiple engagements going on. The destructibility was fantastic, and what was really cool was behind the scenes, talking to Alex Garden, and him basically saying is we're pretty much done with the foundation. Like, we've got a few more things to do, but we're done with the foundation of the game, and everything from here on out is just polish, and of course, good stuff,
fleshing things out.
And to me, that was just like, I was like, wow, walking your mech after the mission, going back in the mech bay. You guys couldn't really tell on the, I think at least in the convention center, it was sort of dark, the video, as far as the big screen, but the amount of damage and detail they have in the mechs, it's nothing like what we have in MW. It's like down the rabbit's hole.
Oh
like,
my god.
Um,
Well, when I first walked into the mech bay, and you see the mechs there, like I just sat there for a few minutes, just thinking to myself, this is the best I've ever seen BattleTech MechWarrior mechs look in my entire life. Like, so freaking beautiful. Rightly so. It's a 2019 product, right? It better be, but it was. Like, it was so beautiful. Like, I had goosebumps. Like, I've been around this franchise for 35 freaking years, starting with some of the, crazy line art back in the days, all the way to fast forward to now. These mechs were works of art. They looked beautiful.
Yeah.
And that was good. And like you said, jumping into this, because I still play Mech 4 a couple times a year. I do the full campaign, do all of Solaris and all that. It felt like putting on some old gloves with a modern twist, obviously, right? A 20-year newer product. Yep. It felt like you're slipping into MechWarrior, and that's what I wanted. That's what I wanted so bad. Now, obviously, we want things to be better, not just a duplicate of Mech 4 or Mech 2 or whatever. We want a 20-year newer game. And I absolutely believe that's what's going to happen. Not to mention the co-op and the mod support and all that, but it just felt like MechWarrior with the voice acting, with the missions. And so knowing that there's 9 months left to flesh out this game, I'm just super excited for what we're going to get, and have another game to play. And
we'll talk about Mech 5 in detail, guys. Not on this, because I feel like that's an entire podcast.
This is about
just
MechCon.
What's MechCon. We got to see obviously the destructible environments, which had taken
Insane.
a step up. Not all buildings were fully destructible. The smaller ones were. It's funny because that sparked a very interesting debate as far as, was it too much destruction? Then I'm like, geez, we just, like, you can't win or win on that one. I've been in a 70-ton tank. I know what it's like to go through buildings and an environment, guys. 70-ton tank will go through. It'll mow down pretty much anything that you throw at it, let alone a very tall, heavy tank. The box art, the cover art, if you will, box art.
Oh, man. Okay, first of all, I want the box, right? I mean,
would you pay? I would pay for the box. I'd pay for it.
No.
Especially that, like,
hesitate.
The box art that's it's like sort of pressed a little bit, so it gets the texture. It
took me back. Seeing box art was awesome.
And having Alex behind it, it looked like something you'd see coming from Catalyst Game Labs, but yet here you have a king crab with the dead mech.
What's in the box?
I didn't even see what the dead mech was. I need to look to see if I could pick up what it was.
Yeah.
But did anybody else notice? Let me pull this up. Surprised we didn't have a
picture.
Anybody else notice the infantry?
Yeah.
Dude in the
little
bottom.
Soldier right in the front.
Anybody? Did you notice that? Let me see if I can find it. Okay. That's
Now, Mitch, I think, made a point that there were infantry on box art back in the day, but it's a good sign.
I'm gonna take it as that means we're gonna get
as a confirmation
infantry, because we didn't know. They said maybe. So I'm finding it for you guys. I'm trying to get a.
Yeah. So. Again, this is just another example of the artwork kind of blowing us away. And although we do have access to a lot of stuff behind the scenes all year long, there's a lot of stuff that happens at MechCon that we don't see until we're at MechCon, and that included this box art. So when it was shown live, that was the first time Phil and I saw it as well. And it's nice, actually, sometimes. We intentionally sometimes don't dig too deep because we want to be surprised as well.
Yeah, I'm finding one. It's not the full picture. Hold on. Let me.
We could always link to it in our notes if we can't find it now.
But the not infantry unnatural. They had humans walking, but as far as like infantry being something that potentially is
shooting back at you.
I mean, obviously you're walking around as a MechWarrior, so they have a human character. But I'm talking about like where potentially, I mean, because it has an SRM like launcher, I mean, that just opens doors. You go into an inner city or something, or a biome, and you know, life is cheap, armor isn't, sort of thing, where you're getting shot at potentially, and you're just gonna lose a bunch of money if you don't get the heck out of there.
And a good reason to have machine guns and flamers,
right?
and
Right, like,
yeah.
yeah. So, yeah.
Yep.
As far as, so we had that release. We also had release date.
Yeah, so they announced the release date September 10th, 2019. So, over 9 months left of development. And this is another thing I want to point out. And I think we'll get to this. There's frustration, obviously. It's not all rainbows and butterflies or whatever. People like, for example, wanting to see more MWO content at MechCon, which includes myself and you as well. But one thing I want to point out, something that should be kept in mind with all this discussion, is that MechWarrior 5 is 100% self-published by PGI. They have no publisher, and they didn't do any sort of fundraising, Kickstarter, GoFundMe, whatever. So that's a huge deal. And we all know that, what a publisher can do, and why we want to avoid that situation. And so, while there's the obvious frustrations, and hopefully we'll get Paul on, and we'll start talking more MWO as the year moves on and through the holidays or whatever. We're going to talk about it, and we still care deeply about MWO, and I know PGI does as well. But that's a huge accomplishment that this is a self-funded game, and it's also very difficult for a small studio that literally has 60, 70 plus or minus employees at any given time. This is not a 300-person studio that's bankrolled by Microsoft or whatever. So I feel like there it is. Oh, that's so beautiful with the little infantry dude there. But anyway, I just wanted to point that out. Like I said at the beginning, there's good, bad, and ugly about it, and things that will, are different disappointments for different people. And these are things that we'll be discussing in upcoming podcasts. But I think it's a really big deal that this game has come to fruition. And I also think it's a beautiful, full circle from when we first started getting together, before we even started the podcast, and we saw that MechWarrior 5 trailer that PGI wanted to do back in the day. In 2009, that first initial trailer came out, and because they weren't able to do the standalone, the single player game back then, they had to choose a different route, and they decided to do multiplayer, and that's where MWO was born. But here we are again. We come first full circle, and Russ was able to do MechWarrior 5, and I think that's a huge deal.
Yes, it is a huge deal, and I'll be honest, I'm disappointed that we won't get the game till September. But that's that's reality. How many times have we said patience? Patience. Because, like,
well, think of the alternative. Look at these huge developers that are being forced to release games every year.
We've had a lot of examples recently, haven't we?
A lot of examples of games that are basically just garbage because their publishers, EA, are forcing people to put out games every year. Yeah. Developers just don't have the time to release the games that they want to release anyway. You look back just 5 years ago, 4 years ago, developers were able to take 2, 3, 4 years to develop a game, and that makes such a difference compared to being forced to do one once every year. And so, in my opinion, yeah, it's hard to be patient. Of course it is, right? It's your beloved franchise, your beloved games, your mechs. But the fact that we're getting more time on target to release a better game, to me, means a lot. Yeah. It means everything.
So Mech 5 in general, again, we'll talk about this, guys, in length on its own podcast, and we will be hopefully sitting down with PGI. I don't know if it'll be before the holidays, so just keep that in mind. But we have a lot of things to cover with them, not only for MWO, but for Mech 5. One of the things I'd love to do is sit down with Alex Garden and possibly even Russ and talk about something that I think is very, very important, which is the mod scene. So again, stay tuned for that. All I got to say, been nice. Yeah, you guys, and I'm going to drop it because I can go on. Don't even get me started
I know. Well, we're going to have more regular podcasts. We have a lot of stuff to talk about. But here, real quick, throw up picture number 22.
Understood.
This was something that was really cool. Again, there were certain things that happened at this MechCon that I think were very special and reinforced the whole family aspect of it. And this is one of them. Deadfire, if you're still in the chat here.
Deadfire!
We had a freaking wedding at MechCon. It was beautiful. It was amazing. It was special. You know, there was a whole lineup when they walked down the aisle. Yeah. People lined up on either side. I have no words. Beautiful wife, beautiful daughter there participating.
The kid is so damn big, dude. I remember she was just a baby, like crying in the background. Oh my God.
It was so crazy and such a cool moment. And they shared that with a few of us before day 2 began. That was way cool. Congratulations again to the wonderful bride and groom. And that, you know, I don't know what to say about that. They just had a lot of their family. A lot of 228th was there, and it was just really a special moment.
I was telling Deadfire, I was like, "Welcome to the club, married club."
Yeah,
about time, Deadfire. Deadfire. No, it was fantastic. Super happy for both of you guys. Actually, all of you guys, because you did as well. So yeah.
Let's show number 27.
27.
So again, congratulations to First Jaguar Guards. Congratulations to Imperial. Great performances. Totally deserve all your winnings and your gear. Hope you enjoy that. Hope to see you guys again next year. But here's a picture of Eon Synergy. Obviously, they were second place 2 years in a row, and they finally pulled through and won. They were the champions this year. And very much deserved. They played their asses off.
Yeah, I mean, and when we were talking about the first and second day, which was interesting is, JGX, beating, EMP, and then that sort of everyone was super stoked about that, and what that might curtail. Again, talking about the underdog sort of perspective. But one thing I do want to hit on is literally the sportsmanship. It was fantastic. Yeah. I talked to Ash. I think Ash is in chat. I talked to a bunch of the other team members of EMP as well. And it was very pleasant talking to a lot of you guys. And that's something that I feel like can only improve. And I'd like to, me and Daeron would love to help facilitate that conversation with the community. And one thing that I feel like we can ride the coattails, if you will, off of this MechCon is that what you guys want from the competitive scene in the community, I feel like is completely plausible, and we would love to help promote that. And that is, you guys were fantastic supporting, whether it was JGX, whether it was Eon, whether it was EMP. And I can't say that enough, how important I think a positive relationship between the teams are. Yes, healthy, competitive, sure, but a supportive environment where you have someone who just came in second and is literally so excited for Eon, and to see that, I don't know if anybody else caught that, but it was genuine. Great sportsmanship. It was from the heart, and I thoroughly enjoyed talking to everyone I did that was part of the EMP team. The First Jaguar Guards and Eon guys. At the end there, you guys got to see them as well. All of them are very, very nice.
It was good to see.
And again, from all different backgrounds in the world, literally. I mean, from people all over the world. And there were some really cool stories too that I heard. There was a lot of positive, and I think that just sort of sets the precedence for that's what I feel like the competitive scene is about right there. And that's something to mirror it off of and set the example. And we are all for helping support that. And, so look forward to sitting down again. We're going to be talking about the World Championship and obviously what possibly you guys would like to see change for 2019. Just like last year, nothing announced right now, but let's just go ahead and assume it's going to happen. So what would that look like? And of course, we'll be reaching out to a few of you guys and One thing to keep in mind also with the PGI presentation was MWO and faction play, obviously. As you mentioned earlier, Daeron, can we touch on the MWO aspect? I think it's 100% valid criticism from everyone out there that's been disappointed that this MechCon pretty much had nothing for MWO other than, hey, we're going to be doing faction play content. That is 100% valid criticism out there. Russ knew it. You heard him basically say, like, you know, I didn't think we needed to make a video about it. Since then, we've had the post come out of what Paul has outlined in that thread. I've kept up with the reaction of that. For the most part, it seems very positive. Some people even going so far as like, hey, that's what, you know, I proposed, you know, a year or two ago. So it's good to see that it lines up. But that being said, I believe that conversation is still going. We will reach out to Paul. It will probably be after the new year to sit down and have a podcast, have a follow-up. Let's have someone like Ash on and possibly Dane. Dane's huge into faction play, or has been, and I know he wants to.
For sure.
So I think that would be great to have Ash and Mech the Dane together, maybe on a podcast talking with us about the stuff that's coming on. So Ash, I know you're there. Don't know if Dane's there, but that would be great. So
yeah, I know we're going to have a future podcast about Mech 5. I know we're going to have future podcasts about MechWarrior Online. We will talk about what Paul has outlined and potentially have Paul on. Would love to do that. Let's also look real quick, just because I want to summarize what's happening with Catalyst Game Labs. They do have a starter box set, the new one that's coming out just the end of December. I think it comes with, is it 2 mechs or 4?
Two, the Griffin and the Wolverine.
Yeah. So that starter box set is coming out. Then the Game of Armored Combat, their full box set, comes out in January. Oh my God, I'm getting that. That'll come with 8 mechs. The minis are beautiful. All, you know, tons of new artwork, everything. That will be out in January. They have a whole new map pack coming out, double-sided maps, just a lot of stuff coming out from Catalyst. In fact, I would have to say Catalyst had the best presentation as far as future stuff coming out. It was really cool to have them share all that with us.
And there's more that...
Yeah.
Yeah, so I know there's people that are like, oh, what about this? Or what about this faction maybe? All I know is they're clearly aware of it, and of course what they're trying to do is make sure that they have enough to go throughout the year of 2019 as well. So as far as box sets, so and supplying those. So.
And then of course Harebrained Schemes was there. They were showing off Flashpoint, their latest DLC, which just came out November 27th. I am absolutely positive there's more on the horizon coming from Harebrained Schemes and BattleTech. Also a great product. It was great to, like I mentioned, have Elias Defexis there. I'd love to have him involved in MechWarrior 5 and potentially back there again next year. True BattleTech fan. It was great to have all of those people out there. But this has been a very long podcast.
It has. I think Darren's trying to wrap it up on us.
I am trying. Can you tell? Can you feel it?
Let me just hint on the Jordan Mitch thing really quick.
In the force. Yes.
It was fantastic to sit with those two guys. I mean,
absolutely. In fact, show picture number 25.
You've got I had Chris Lowry and Logan in there, and I felt so bad because I told 5.
Yeah, that's just me introducing. They had another epic showdown, which was very popular. Those seats filled up, man, when they were doing their head-to-head.
They had a charity giveaway, which was fantastic.
So that's me announcing. I'm standing in front of Jordan. Forgive me, but that's Jordan and Mitch. They had a rematch, and you don't have to keep that up long. You can take that down. And they went head-to-head again. It was an amazing fight, and Mitch won this year.
Yeah.
And blew my mind. Jordan actually kneeled.
Hey.
Yeah, he kneeled before Mitch. He was a man of his word.
He's a man of his word. Yep.
Yeah, and it was just really cool to see them. I always love introducing, you know, the godfathers of BattleTech or whatever we want to call them. You know, I just, again, it's just such an intense event. So many people there, so many people you respect and have been a part of your hobby franchise, whatever, for just decades.
Yeah.
Special moment, without a doubt, having Jordan and Mitch there. And then you got to sit down with them.
And
I didn't have a picture of that, but I'm sure there's one.
I'm
there.
sure. Yeah, there's official.
You got to talk to them.
Yeah, and I had Chris to my left and Logan to my right, and I told Mitch, I was like, hey, I'm gonna come kidnap you after your live Q&A, because I was gonna talk with Chris and Logan and be like, hey, we'll be right back in just moments. All of a sudden, I see Jordan's head poke in and Mitch, and I was like, can't just be like, hey guys, you just need to go away for a few minutes. You can't turn down Jordan and Mitch. So anyways, I was like, oh my god. So I brought him in, and I tried to get information out of them. They I don't know. They wouldn't budge. They basically just nodded a lot.
But you know what they did say, which was, I think, pretty significant.
Yeah,
was it significant to you guys? They said the Unseen were going to be in Battle Deck. That
caught me by surprise.
That totally caught me by surprise.
Because obviously we
know they're coming to Mech 5. We saw them in the trailer for Mech 5.
And Catalyst Game Labs and Catalyst has them. And obviously from a legal standpoint, we can't go into that. But just from the aspect of they had the Marauder originally in the demo earlier on, right? And so all of us were like, yeah, and then that happened and they weren't with initial release, and so we're all like, oh, what does that mean for us?
Yeah.
So, and I quote Mitch, they just won't happen before urban warfare. So he said, but they are coming. And and like I think he said it very like, yes, like basically yes, they are coming. So that was really cool. But obviously it's always a pleasure talking to those guys. And as soon as we can, we will reach out and hopefully to get a podcast with those two individuals, or sure. McCain and so forth and so on. But overall,
whoever we can. It
was a fantastic experience for me.
Can't wait till next year.
I didn't even get to hang out with Daeron very much, to be honest. We really didn't, because Saturday and Sunday. Yeah. I basically got to say goodbye Sunday because I had to leave super early.
We had a job to do, man, and we did it.
It was a long. You did a great job, especially considering the circumstances. So did you. Like that was. You
got a lot of camera time this year.
Yeah, that was. Yeah. I guess good. Yeah.
What?
I was gonna say. I guess that's what I do. I talk a lot and people watch.
Well, that's who you want. If somebody's gonna be talking a lot, you want somebody that likes talking a lot. It worked out. Everybody did a great job. Everybody from PGI, Catalyst, Harebrained Schemes, all the volunteers that helped this year, the referees, the audio video company was amazing. They're just like my support line through those things. The Vancouver Convention Center, just everybody. And why don't we, as we do these final lines, go ahead and throw up picture number 28. You can cover our mugs. This was the group right here that was really involved in a lot of the talking and the presentation part of it or whatever. It's been, I don't know how many years we've been working with these guys. It was awesome. Again, Matt is the commander in chief here. He organizes this whole thing, but Ben and Mike just did a spectacular job.
Yeah, they did.
There's a reason they are the ones doing this. They are just phenomenal at it, and they only get better. Love Ben and Mike. Tina obviously doing her job, doing it very well, and we're lucky enough to be a part of it as well.
Yeah.
But why don't you take us out with that first part there?
Yeah, guys, and again, just want to say thank you guys for tuning in, for those listening live, and of course for everyone out there, thank you guys for all the support during the MechCon. We were watching when we could and paying attention, so thank you again for the positive words. Look forward to next year as well. I'm sure we'll get confirmation very soon on that. But this podcast is supported by you, the viewer. Please consider supporting us in a variety of ways. You can subscribe to our Twitch channel. There's different tiers for everyone. And of course, if you got a Prime sitting around, consider using that as well. You can become a patron. We've got a new patron tier on there. It is the Twitch VIP. If you go that route, I will manually assign that to you. You guys get a badge, and slow-mo doesn't affect you, stuff like that. We will be kicking off some new goals very, very soon. Like I said, we got more content coming your way. We have a new store. So we're going to go ahead and link that in chat as well. So check that out as if you'd like coffee mugs or t-shirts and so forth and so on.
Mech porn.
Yeah, literally mech porn.
You can literally buy mech porn.
So if you do enjoy the podcast, consider that. And also, we have an affiliate link down below the stream. Also, if you're watching on YouTube, we'll have the link below where if you guys buy anything on Amazon, it kicks back. And we all also are going to look at getting one for Newegg as well, because some of you guys shop on Newegg. But anything like that, if you're able to, but it is not forced upon you. So up to your own volition. But thank you guys for considering it. And if for those that are able to, thank you guys for the contribution.
Also, be sure to check out our website at Nogutsnogalaxy.net. You can check us out on Twitch at NGNGTV, YouTube at Nogutsnogalaxy TV, Twitter at Nogutsnogalaxy, Facebook at Nogutsnogalaxy Podcast, SoundCloud at Nogutsnogalaxy, and as Phil mentioned, for all the latest and greatest in mech porn, t-shirts, and mugs, be sure to check out NoGalaxyStore.com.
This was your local Nogutsnogalaxy MechWarrior podcast. Signing off for tonight. This is Phil.
And this is Daeron.
Until next time, Mech Warriors.